Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to another week of Paranormal Pals, people. How are you all doing?
Good, thank you.
Good week?
Good.
Yeah.
Lucy,
Yeah.
where's your background?
I don't have it.
Tash emailed it to you.
I haven't got it. Nothing's come through.
Oh,
All right. I'll message you the email address I have, and then you can email me back.
okay. So we got some paranormal news. It's actually kind of big news. Before we get into our topic for this evening, which is residential investigations and everything you need to know about them. A little bit different than just going and doing an investigation of a commercial property or a historical property. So we thought we'd discuss that this week. But before we do, the paranormal news, or the news in the paranormal field this week, is that the Warrens' house, Ed and Lorraine Warren's house, and their museum, their occult museum, and whole property has been bought by a YouTuber called Alton Casti and the comedian called Matt Rife. They don't own the artifacts in the museum, but they do have them under their guardianship for the next 5 years. They are going to be running the Warrens' house as a bed and breakfast. So it's going to be able to take 8 people at a time. They're going to be doing investigating in the house. They're going to supply all the equipment. And then you're going to get to investigate the museum as well while you stay the night there. I don't know whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing or what, to be quite honest with you. But it should be an interesting thing. I'm sure we'll see what is going to transpire over the next couple of years and just how much Matt Rife and Alton Casti are going to be able to do without being interrupted by Mr. Spera. I'm kind of getting the impression that it might actually, excuse me, I'm kind of getting the impression it might go belly up. I don't see it running very smoothly because I know Alton's got ideas of what he wants to do, and he's mentioned some of those. And whether or not he gets to do what he wants to do is another matter. So, yeah, interesting bit of news this week. And that's pretty much all I have got for paranormal news. Good evening, Tony. Hiya, Tone. Nice to see you. So before we get into it, you will see, those that didn't watch last week's podcast, we have another new co-host. So Susie from Quantum will be joining us each week now as well. So you'll get 4 conflicting opinions on everything, which isn't that just fabulous? And other than that, I think we'll crack into it. Barbara, this is something that you and I have discussed quite a lot, right?
We have.
And
we don't agree.
No, we don't, because I hate residential. I hate doing residentials.
Uh-huh.
That's
and
the
I
first thing we don't agree on.
absolutely. And I'm the opposite. I really, really enjoy residential investigations. Personally, I think I've done many. Like I was trying to count up earlier today, and I've probably done at least 40 or 50 over the years. I really enjoy them because I've lived in so many haunted houses and haunted buildings, and I've seen a lot happen. Way more happen than I have on any investigation of an old building, a random old building. Usually when people call a paranormal team in, they at least perceive that they are being something paranormal in their home. And personally, I think that as an investigator, I have way more chance of actually documenting, and I'm sorry, Tracy, I know you don't like this word, but actually documenting evidence of the paranormal. Way more of a chance than just going to some random old building where occasionally people will say they've seen a ghost. So that's my thoughts on paranormal investigations. While I am quite, I don't just go in willy-nilly, there have to be specific conditions that I'll go to a private investigation, but I'm definitely not opposed to them, as I know Tracy is.
It's not that I'm opposed to them. I just personally don't like them. And I've found, for the most part, for them to be quite a waste of my time. I could be at home with me PJs curled up in front of the TV. I think, yeah, so it's not that I don't agree with doing residential properties. I do, but I agree that there needs to be certain boundaries around investigating residential properties. And I think that the majority of teams fail miserably in ensuring that those boundaries are present.
Yeah.
But then I think it's also because a lot of teams fail miserably having any form of processes or anything when they're investigating. There's no procedures, nothing like that. And I think that's just an indication. But I think before we go to Susie and Tash, I just wanted to say that I think there is a huge onus on the investigators to be incredibly mindful that they're actually going into someone's home. And I think that's where people fail. It's not, this is someone's home. So turning around and getting freaked out or yelling and screaming at staff or that sort of thing. When you walk away, these people have got to stay there and they've got to live there. And what you do when you're investigating there is going to have a huge impact when you walk away. So I tend, for the most part, to go in with minimal equipment because I have noticed they find it overwhelming. When you start pulling out this, that, and the other, and there's suitcases and suitcases full of equipment. So I go in with minimal equipment. I go in with a camera. I go in with pen and paper. I go in with a voice recorder. Excuse me. And I go in with an EMF / my MEL, which takes temperature as well. And that's pretty much all I will take when I go into a residential. I also think that we have to also be very mindful of doing residentials when we don't have, or when the investigators don't have any form of mental health training at all. This is primarily due to the fact that in 8 out of 10 cases, there are issues there, either mental health issues or addiction issues. Whether that be drugs or alcohol. And I think also by the time we get there, the people who are living there have pretty much made up their mind that they've got a ghost, that their house is haunted. And I have actually had an instance where a woman flipped out at me because I told her that the chances are she's actually not haunted. And the issues were coming from extremely off the whack-a-mole EMF readings. Like I'm talking about the EMF reading I got was just off the scale. It was 700 and something. It was ridiculous from this one place that we got. And she literally went nutso at me because she firmly believed she had a ghost. And here I was telling her that there was another reason possibly another reason for her seeing what she saw. So that's my stance on residentials, and also the fact that I've had a vibe when I've gone into a couple of residentials that I'm not actually safe. It's not been, the ex-murderer type of thing, but it's kind of like I just don't feel safe with the people that are in the home. One that I did, and that was because most of the people there, and there was quite a few, were suffering from mental health issues. And I really felt, the first time I can ever say that I felt unsafe in that
I'll
property.
just stop you there. Did you do it by yourself?
No, never do it by yourself. Ever, ever,
Yeah.
ever. No, I went with 2 other people. I still felt unsafe.
Okay.
And that's the other thing. Don't ever do a residential on your own. That there
Never.
is a safety issue. You've got to take people. Do you know what? I don't even like going and doing a residential when it's just the girls there. I want the male on our team to come with us. And the last residential we did, I set up around the fact that he could attend, just from a safety perspective. Suze, what about you? What have you've done a few resis?
I have. Most of them, I think I'm like you, Trace. Try to go in with minimal equipment. Try not to say too much. Be conscious of any mental illness, things that may be going on within the home. And one of the things I actually look at as I'm walking around is, is there obvious, drug use and alcohol and things like that? Because of course that can have an impact on what they're experiencing. I did do one investigation on my own, completely on my own, and the couple insisted on being there and moving their children into another room. And I think that was probably the most terrifying experience I've ever had. Because the husband was the one who'd experienced the most, I want to say, verging on violence within the house. And it was terrifying. It was the vibe the house gave me was absolutely awful. And I hated the fact that I'd gone in there on my own, which was probably the biggest mistake I made with that one. But yeah, so I think going in as a group and definitely having a male there with us, especially being a female and a small female at that. Yeah.
It just makes me feel safer to have a male present, to be quite honest with you. I'm going into someone's home. I know very little about these people. I don't know who's going to turn up when I'm there. It's very, very difficult to get homeowners to leave the property. I mean, I wouldn't want a bunch of strangers wandering around my property when I'm not, in my property, not around it, when I'm not there. I mean, God, they could be going through my knickers drawer for all I know,
Absolutely. And they can be, they're a valuable source of information too,
Absolutely.
But I always usually ask for children not to be present because there's nothing worse than, the kids are all in bed and you're trying to investigate and they're like, no, it's all right. They won't wake up. It's like, I don't want these kids scared waking up with me in their bedroom.
Yeah.
No. So I always ask.
I agree with that there should be the adults there. But the problem with that is they're a source of contamination, and if they're stressed out and you're an empath, you'll pick up on that and think you might, misthink that is related to something paranormal versus their own fears and beliefs in the house. So you sort of contaminated the investigation. So I understand because, I wouldn't let anyone roam through my house that I didn't know.
Yeah. I agree.
Reason, but
I've
only done a couple residential per se, because the team I was on, only the leader would go and do residentials. The rest of the team were really not allowed. And you kind of have to be mindful that in someone's home. I believe there's certain circumstances where an investigation is warranted. but then there's others that are not. But until you show up, you don't really know.
You don't. Nah.
So
exactly.
if it's kind of like comparing, for lack of a comparison, something like what was it called? Kindred spirits. They're very respectful. They don't tell the people that there's demons in the house and they're going to kill them, and they have to do all this extra fluffy stuff to get rid of them so that they can get back in the house. Versus the dead files. I absolutely despise the dead files because they always say something terrible happened in this house. You're going to have to pay lots of money to get rid of it. You're going to have to have a shaman or to shake his stick and tell them to get the demons to get out. Every single episode is like that. And it's kind of like, these are people's houses. And I know it's a TV show, but if you watch those two side by side, you can see how different.
Wildly different, eh?
Amy and I forget her name treats them versus
Adam.
the cop that does the research and the psychic. They're not very respectful like kindred spirits.
I also that's such a good comparison, Tash. Putting those two side by side because it's chalk and cheese, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
And how they approach the residential properties and the people who live in the residential properties. I also think that the speaking about the dead files, I know it's, as you said, for TV, but the fear that they put into those people that are living in that property, I mean, drawing these horrible pictures of monsters and saying that's what she saw that was wandering through their house. And I even watched one where she said, it's not safe to be here. Get out.
That's ridiculous. I've been into homes, they've asked us to come and investigate, where whole families are sleeping in their lounge downstairs because they're all too scared to sleep in their bedrooms upstairs. And it's absolutely heartbreaking to see how terrified these people are. And a lot of it is from watching TV, from watching, those ridiculous shows. And what I really like about going to, one of the things I really like about going to these investigations is actually telling them it's okay, listening to them seriously. Before we even go in, we gather all the data we can. We send a questionnaire out. We want to know about any illnesses, any mental health problems. We just really upfront with everything that we need to know, any drug addictions, any drugs taken, and we tell them, you need to let us know these things if you want us to come in. And that way they know we're serious. We're not going to be playing around. We want to know what's what. We also get full details of what's actually happening so that before we actually arrive there, we may have quite a good picture of what may be actually occurring. Of course, we can't just go in and say, oh, don't be silly, but we can, talk to them and point out rational explanations for what is actually happening. And oftentimes they'll listen because you're taking it seriously. You're not going in like some TV show with all your bells and whistles. We haven't got beepers going off everywhere. We're just quietly talking with the adults in the house and letting them know that we're trying to help them by ascertaining exactly what is happening. One of the first things I always point out also is that probably in 98% of the cases, we are able to find rational explanations for what they perceive they are actually experiencing. And once they hear that, they tend to calm down a little bit and are more open to hearing other explanations. If you let them know you know what you're talking about, they will follow your lead, and they're much calmer and much less scared by everything.
I mean, I think one of the first things I used to say, well, the last few residentials I said, I walked in after, I speak to them numerous times on the phone. I fill out a whole questionnaire. Quantum has 2 questionnaires. We have one for commercial properties and one for residentials. So as Barbara already said, we get all the drug things, whether it's illegal or whether it's actually prescribed drugs. We want to know everything that you're on. Some prescribed drugs have a hallucinatory effect, so we need to make sure that we're aware of that. But one of the first things, we spend probably a good hour to 2 hours just sitting down talking to the clients. Even though they filled in the questionnaire, we're getting them to repeat what they've said again. Probably the one thing that we didn't do in the beginning, but we do now, and that is we separate all the people that are in the property and we interview them separately so that you're not listening to each other and what each other is saying. You get a lot of clarification on stuff. Doing it that way is definitely separate the individuals and interview them away from earshot even. But I think that the one thing that I started saying when I walked in, oh, do you watch paranormal shows? And they go, yeah. And I go, yeah, well, it's not like that.
Yeah.
You're not going to see
that. It's like some, but not all.
Yeah, you're not going to see that here. You got to remember they're making a TV program. They're not there primarily to investigate a haunting. Yeah. So what you're going to see, you're not going to be able to marry up with what you've seen on TV. And you said not having kids there. There's one residential I went to, and there was 7 kids under the age of 10.
Gosh.
7 kids under the age of 10.
Yeah.
And one investigator was completely being bombarded by all the things that the kids had supposedly seen, which was just straight out of some horror movie. Literally straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I just said at the finish, you know what? We've spent a good hour and a half talking with them. I need them to get these kids gone now because they're actually impeding our questioning, so they need to go. So I went back in and I spoke to the dad, and he made arrangements for the mum to take them away to the grandparents. But yeah, adults, I've got no problem with being there. In fact, I'd like to have them there because it kind of normalizes, the things that may happen when they're there. Yeah. So I need them there for that in effect.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Is it really ethical, A, to have kids there, and B, to interview them in such a way?
No, it's not at all.
Because I think the biggest issue is, like, even if you segregate the kids and people, they've already pre-discussed and predetermined what has happened. So they might necessarily not repeat stuff that happened to them, but what happened to their partner or their wife there.
And that's why I say separate them, because you can get a much clearer picture of who said what, who was where, and what actually happened when you interview them separately. I've had things that come up completely different than what they filled in the questionnaire when I've taken them away.
So what I'm saying is they're already contaminated. So you can't even say, because they might accidentally mix up what they experienced with what their partner experienced, because they
but you've got to do the best that you can, and it's standard procedure with a residential is to separate them, which is same procedure with bloody police investigating. You separate your witnesses, and even though the witnesses
presuming that they haven't colluded beforehand.
Well, you don't presume.
They would have discussed their happenings.
Yeah, you don't presume anything, but you just do it as.
No, I mean, like in like police. Quite often, the people involved in a crime will actually come up with a story together to stick to the story.
I'm not talking necessarily about people that are actually committing a crime. I'm talking about.
No, I'm comparing it because you are in a certain way not interrogating them, but you are questioning them.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the same way that the police would segregate, supposed, offender B and offender A versus wife A and husband B.
Well, it's not only that, because most of the time that the people that I normally ask for anybody who's witnessed anything to actually be present at the property, whether or not it's mum who doesn't even live there. But
again, my point is that they would have discussed this prior, so they're
we know
already
that. We know that, Tash. We're well aware of that.
I'm just saying that even if you
the people listening.
It's still really good procedure. You take them aside and you get further in-depth details on their own. You've got no one else chiming in across the top of the other person, because that's a big thing. When you've got excuse me, 3 or 4 people sitting there, and they tend to be quite excited when you first go in. As Barb said, you lead the way, you calm them down. But they tend to babble information, and I normally say, okay, I'm just going to stop you right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to Mark first, and then I'm going to talk to each one of you individually, and I don't have 3 voices all coming at me at once and trying to write down 3 different versions of the same event at once.
I wouldn't even write it down. I just record it.
I do.
And I would note their body language, because there's certain things when people are recalling true events, and there's certain body language when they're recalling something that didn't necessarily happen. So subconsciously they might have thought that it happened. You can actually look at their body language. So you don't really have to segregate them.
Which is a really good idea. Why we also, as well as having the audio recorder and taking notes, we also had a video camera videoing the recording. Some people don't like that. So that is up to the individual client to say that, no, I'm not happy being videoed, and that's cool. Are you okay with me having a voice recorder here? Yep, that's fine. Some people don't care, and they're like, oh, yeah, sure. I just say it makes it easier for us. But what it is I want to see reactions when I'm asking certain questions. I want to see the body movement. I want to see the body language reactions, because that's a really awesome way to pick up on. You can even tell when someone's remembering something, or trying to remember something. So that's what I do actually love, having them on video. But as I say, not all of them want to be on video.
I think we did this. I think we did the same place, the same residence with the high EMF reading, and there was reasons for that. I vaguely remember that the lady had a child that would come and stay, and that was her room. And I was like, don't put her in that room. It's not haunted. It is full of EMF. And that's not good for people.
And I've been called. I've been called out to investigations where, the teenage daughter is, having problems at night, having awful nightmares, seeing shadows, having feelings of, being watched. And of course, the first thing we go in, after we've talked to them, is, check the room out, and including outside. And what did we find? There was a meter box on the outside outside wall, where her head was just literally centimeters away from it. Really easy fix, and the family was so grateful. It was like, just move her bed to the other wall, and sure enough, the whole lot stopped. And that's what I really like about doing private
residentials,
residentials, is when you can actually help people. They're happy, they're like, no, it's fine, we're having no problems anymore, and yet they have been so scared. It's so rewarding, and of course they're not always like that, but it's so rewarding when you do actually help a family who think they're suffering paranormal. So I was going to say just something else that we do pre a residential investigation, and it's always a good thing to actually, if you're kind of wondering what's happening, is to ask them to log what is happening over a period of weeks or even a month, depending how long.
That's absolutely necessary, because the great thing about that is that you can see patterns. Once it's down in black and white, you can then begin to see patterns. It might be I don't know, I'm just pulling this out of thin air, but it might be the fact that it happens every 5th night between 8 and 10 o'clock. If they're just verbally telling you these things, it doesn't paint a really crystal picture.
Well, they might not even see the pattern.
No, exactly. If they write it down, these things then start becoming quite apparent. Or, for instance, it only happens when somebody is visiting. It's the same person, you know? They might not see it, but the occurrences only happen when that person is in the property.
Yeah.
So, Barb, going back to that investigation, was the power box in the room?
No, it was on the outside wall. It was an older home.
Okay.
And it was on the outside wall, right basically where the teenager's head was. So she was sleeping, and of course, you know, the EMF in the room, particularly over her bed, around her bed, was just sky high. It was the first. It's like, let's see, you know, what is on the outside of this wall, and there it is. So simple, such a simple thing. It's always one of the first things I ask.
Yeah. Barb, so you're not supposed to have them near bedrooms, even on the opposite side of the wall. That's actually illegal.
This was like the house that Jack built. There was just so many.
They must have knocked down a wall and made a room. Yeah, probably. They wouldn't get a limb report if they said they were using that as a bedroom. But I think the one Tracy and I was talking about, it wasn't a bedroom. It used to be originally a storage area where they used to store stuff. So this person had converted it for a child to be a bedroom when they stayed. Not knowing that was dangerous, but they were renting, so whoever was renting to them should have told them, you can't use this as a bedroom.
Did you say that me and you did the same residential, Tash?
Yeah.
Nah.
Or maybe it was Barbara and I'm not sure, but the ECT reading, the readings were so high because it was ECT that used to be used.
No, mine was from an oven, a 1970s oven. But
I remember that one.
But with what Barbara said about, like, you know, moving the girl's bed, I've actually read a case file about a bunch of investigators going in to a home, and they're same thing, teenage girl seeing shadow people, waking up and seeing figures at the end of her bed. They took EMF readings, and got cracking off the wall readings from her alarm clock.
Wow.
So they didn't say anything. They just said they wanted to remove the alarm clock.
Yeah.
And see what happened, and they'd be back in a week. And they came back a week later, and she hadn't seen anything at all. They put the alarm clock back again. Yeah. She went and slept, and lo and behold, straight away that night, bang, she saw shadow people again, and at the end of her bed. So it was the alarm clock, and remove that, you got no more haunting happening.
Yeah.
I mean, that could happen with any electrical device. It doesn't have to be off the charts. It depends how you are physiologically. I mean, I used to work around electromagnets, which have more electromagnetism than an MRI. So I'm not sensitive to it whatsoever. My partner, however, would go and have an MRI and feel sick afterwards. So
really?
I guess it depends on the person. Yes.
Wow.
So the oven thing, that would mean it probably wasn't grounded properly.
I don't think it was earthed.
Which is really bad, because the amount of current going through an oven will definitely kill you.
And the only reason I went and tested it was, but I said to her, okay, so where do you see them? And she goes, in the kitchen. And I said, okay, where in the kitchen?
Mm.
Where are you when you see them? And she said, standing cooking at the oven. Mm-hmm. I'm always cooking when I see them. And I think her daughter said, they must like your cooking smells, Mum. And, you know, they had a bit of a laugh about it. So I took the EMF reader over there, and how's your father? It's off the rockers. Yeah. And I said to her, listen, you really need to get an electrician out, and you need to do that pronto.
I have a story about that in a residential
Oh,
investigation.
do I know the story? Tell it.
Okay. We were called to this home that was having really terrible problems, and the paranormal problems revolved around their appliances. You know, the jug would pop, the toaster would break down, lights would just stop working, everything. There was a whole myriad of paranormal experiences in this home, all around electrics. So, of course, my first question is, so what has the electrician said? No, we haven't had an electrician in. And I'm like, why not? Well, it was cheaper to get a paranormal team in. Electricians are expensive. It's like, you are kidding me. That is a true story, folks. You know,
What about? I want to hear I want you to tell them your dinner party story.
I've got a few stories. Okay, I do, because I have done a few, and people get paranormal teams in for they have lots of different reasons. Sometimes it's because they're scared. Sometimes because they're having problems. There's lots of different reasons. However, this one beats them all. We were called to an investigation, and we arrived, and they were having a dinner party. And we're like very loud and raucous. They're all sitting around the dinner table as we arrived. And we're like, oh, we got the wrong night. We're doing we're here to do an investigation. Oh, yes, that's right. It's okay. You people get started. We're just about to have dinner, and then we'll come and watch. Where was the entertainment? Seriously, instead of hiring someone, or I don't know what they wanted. But their entertainment was after dinner. They were going to join their own investigation team and go around with us and investigate. Just couldn't believe it. Just could not believe it. That was caused by the person in charge of the investigations in our team at that time not getting enough information, not doing the work beforehand. And these people seemed to think that was fine, and that was what we did. It was beyond annoying because, of course, we're taking time out of our lives to do this. We might be the whole family having dinner early and getting kids off to bed early. We've got to travel there. It's cost quite a bit, and batteries alone for an investigation and our petrol. And then to discover that, we were just the entertainment. That was all.
Yeah, that's your keyboard was really loud, Natasha.
That's right. I'm mute when I'm typing. I've also got a cat that's decided to join as well.
I did see that.
So what about you? Do you prefer to do residentials, or do you prefer to do commercials or historicals?
I think I prefer historicals. Overall, I think residentials are really interesting. But 99% they're pretty mundane things that you find.
I've got a few stories there too.
And saying that, I did go to one where the family were having issues predominantly in one room, and they were terrified. So the two adults slept in this bedroom, and they said, we won't sleep in there anymore. They said the cupboards keep opening, something's watching us, we can't sleep in there. And I offered them, I said, look, we can set up cameras, record it, see what happens, take a diary, and they went, yeah, no, we don't want to do that. And it was really interesting. They didn't want to record it because they said, we don't want to see it. We know it'll show on film, and we don't want to see it. They were that terrified.
Wow.
And after leaving, they rang me and they said, we've just decided the easiest thing's to move out.
Oh my God, seriously?
Yep. They
was there anything there?
terrified.
Did you capture anything?
I didn't capture anything on video or still camera. I did get a sound recording, which I've unfortunately lost, but it was a very, I don't know how you'd explain it. You know how you get an echo?
Mm.
It was dead silent, and then there was just sort of this very soft but high-pitched echo just started to come through. And it was almost just like a hi, 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 hi that just repeated for about 15 seconds and then stopped. But it did it multiple times, which was really interesting.
Interesting.
But yeah, they didn't want video cameras set up because they didn't want to see it. They didn't want to see it because they were adamant it would show on camera. But yeah, I like the historical stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
You can match things up, you know. You can experience something or catch a recording and go, oh, is this particular person or this particular event? So yeah. That's always my preference.
I pretty much I prefer historicals as well. Or commercials. I don't even mind commercials. I quite enjoy commercials. They're I think it's probably I'm a lot more relaxed in historicals and commercials than what I am on residentials. I'm always so mindful of watching my P's and my Q's and what I say and what I don't say. And more importantly, what I don't say a lot of the time, you know. You're so mindful of that.
You do at times on a residential kind of feel like you're walking on eggshells because you're aware that your words are going to have a huge impact on the people.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't want them, you know, even, you know, say a REM pod goes off. I don't use anything like that on a residential. Yeah. But if a REM pod goes off, a league of demons is coming through their lounge tonight. You know, just anything that you might, even the way you look, you know, if you're like, oh, you know, it's like, no, I'll pop outside. I'm sure there'll be an explanation for that. I've got 97% we can find an explanation. And you're kind of really aware and really walking on eggshells that you just want to calm the whole thing down. You don't want these people to be terrified. But in the meantime, I'm like, please let a league of demons go running through these people's lounge because I would be thrilled.
Hang on, just give me 5 seconds. Just wait. I've got to set my camera up first. Then you can come running through.
Exactly. I do have to say to anyone listening, honestly, it wouldn't happen. Really, not in real life. Perhaps on TV, movies. A normal, everyday person with a normal life, you know, really has not a lot to be worried about. You're not really likely to get a league of demons or anything like that.
No. Tony asked the question, do you think spirits prey on vulnerable or weak personalities? I don't think spirits do. I think inhumane entities do, yes. But not necessarily spirits, no.
I think they go for the stronger because can draw more energy.
What spirits do?
Yeah,
spirits or even malicious ones, because let's just face it, a spirit is a spirit, whether it's good or bad. So I think they draw off the energy from you. So if you've got more energy and you're more worked up, or you have more energy in general, they'll try and use that energy to manifest in however they like. But then again, this is all theory, like even paranormal investigating is just a theory.
Exactly. I think people can give their energy away to spirits, you know, just because they are literally can become so terrified and so fixated on them, and that they can then like feed a spirit or an energy. I mean, a lot of advice that I would give people, anyone who's kind of thinking that they might have something, is ignore it. Honestly, don't give it any.
Don't give it thought. Don't give it energy. Don't give it acknowledgement. Don't give it anything. Yeah, I would too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we're talking about the D word, the big demon, or the inhumanes, they definitely do prey on normally people. I wouldn't say weak individuals, demonic Jumanji, yeah. But I would say those who have suffered some form of trauma. That's their in. Because it's like a chink in the armor, and that's how they find their little grasp, if you like. But as for spirits, no, I don't think. I mean, I wouldn't like to say either or, to be quite honest with you. That's all just absolute conjecture. I'm just going off what the deliverance ministers say about the inhumanes and the demons, that normally it's people that have experienced some kind of trauma in their life, and that's how they get a hold. But as for whether or not spirits go for people who are weak or strong or whatever, I don't think it really matters, to be quite honest. I just think it's a right time, right place thing.
Yeah. But there's a big difference too. A really good point there, Colette, too, about, there's different spirits as well, I mean, if it's Nana popping in to give you a hug, and you might just, smell her perhaps, or that is a completely different kettle of fish to, different scenarios that I've been called in for. I'm not going to say they're paranormal at all, but where people are perhaps complaining of huge bangs on their walls, and pictures being apparently thrown across the room and that sort of thing. But I mean, I believe that we are all surrounded by spirits anyway, and a lot of them are just lovely and loving spirits who just want to, they don't want to make a problem, they just actually want to see us. So yeah, really, really good point, Colette.
Anyone else got anything else they want to add?
I think spirits are just sort of there. They may have a specific reason, but I don't think they're there. Like, spirits in general are, whether they're left behind or whatever reason they're around, they're not there to hurt anyone. They're not there to even affect anyone in most cases, unless they want help. And I think that's the only time they would really sort of try and gain a person's attention. Otherwise, they're just there doing their thing, and if someone happens to sense them, feel them, smell them, that's that person's sensitivity. That's not actually the spirit trying to garner their attention. So,
I agree with that. I think that they're around us all the time, and whether or not we pick up on them, or whether or not they make the move to show themselves, either or. And anyway, we don't even know what they are. I mean, we have done in the field and fringe fields of the paranormal, they have done some categorizing as to what a spirit is versus what a ghost is versus what an apparition is versus what an entity is. But again, it's all conjecture. Nothing is known for sure at all. And it's just people theorizing and coming up with ideas and saying, well, look, maybe it's this way. And that idea might gain some traction because it seems logical, so people go with that for the now. And then 20 years later, it'll change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm just replying to Cameron's his comment. I have a camera set up in the lounge for security, but definitely for paranormal surveillance. I'm yet to find a demon horde running through my lounge. I'd take a basic ghost, even Casper. And I'm the same. I live in a very large historical building, and we have 6 cameras around the building. And I can honestly say the cameras have never picked anything up at all. And I'd be happy with Casper as well, to be honest, Cameron.
Tony's just brought up something really cool. So I'm just going to show his comment. He's recently heard that spirits are around us constantly, but we can't see them in our light spectrum for lack of a better description. What's the panel's thoughts? I totally agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
I don't even think they're in our spectrum, because we have full spectrum cameras, right?
Yeah.
From the high to the low. So, you know, they might not obey the same laws of physics that we do. So therefore there could be an entirely different spectrum, which is what I believe, because we have full spectrum cameras, and either we're putting them in the wrong place at the wrong time, or we just don't have the right technology.
I don't think we've got it right with regards to this. And Barbara will tell you I've been going on about this, and I will keep going on about this probably for the next 10 years.
I totally agree. I do agree with you.
That we just don't have what we need to be able to see them. We just don't. You know, we've fiddled with various things. We've played with the UV. Well, not a great deal of play happened with the UV, but we've played with the full spectrum long enough now, the field as a whole, to be able to determine whether or not we'll be able to see them in that spectrum. We've played with the IR long enough to know, and there are multiple cases where they have not shown on IR, and yet someone's clearly looking at them with their own eyes. But the IR cameras captured zip. So I actually do not believe IR is the way to go at all, in any way, shape, or form. I think a lot more playing needs to be done with UV. I know some people have, individuals in the field have, and it's garnered some interesting results. So I'd like to see that explored a little bit more. But I also think that we just don't have the machinery that it takes.
Just for anyone who didn't see our podcast on shadow figures, we do talk a bit about spectrums there. Also in the different dimensions, the show we did on dimensions, we do touch on that subject there also. They are such huge topics, and that's such a huge question, Tony. And if we only knew, I mean, we would be.
And you know, a lot of the topics bleed into each other.
They definitely do.
So if you don't cut it off at a certain point, now you're discussing something entirely different. We've gone from this, and now we've gone from A, and now we're at Z already, you know. So there is a little bit of sliding into other topics when you're talking about one topic. And I think we've done that numerous times, and someone said, stop, that's next month. You know, we're not talking about that this week. And I think Susie and I spoke about it last week when we were doing haunting classifications, and we were talking about, I was talking about poltergeists, I think. Well, we've got a poltergeist podcast coming up shortly. So we'll go into far more in-depth stuff with regards to the theories surrounding poltergeists, and what parapsychologists have conclusions have been drawn with regards to that. So what the theory of the moment is, well, actually it's been like that for about the last 10 years. So it's still popular. So we'll delve into that as well then. But I think if we're getting back to the subject on residentials, I think I really hate the fact that a lot of teams go do residentials when they are not trained in any form of mental health or counselling at all, because quite frankly, I think somebody on the team, and there are quite a few teams in the UK that are now doing this standard. If you don't have some form of mental health training or counselling, you don't do residentials. And they only put their people in who do have, I think one team I was talking to, they had a psychologist on the team, they had a counsellor on the team, and they had a paramedic on the team as well, believe it or believe it not. And they were the three that went in and did the residential investigations. And you don't want a huge team going in as well. That's the other thing. You don't,
Yeah, you don't want 10 people all going through.
No.
Exactly. Something I would like to say to people, because I can see we're getting towards the end of this particular topic, but if people are thinking that maybe they'd like to get a paranormal team in to have a look at their potentially paranormal activity, that they try and at least debunk it themselves, okay? Have a look on the road outside. You're hearing noises at night or through the day at night. Often the noises are there the whole time. You just hear them at night because that's when it's quieter. Have a look around the house. Have you got any branches that are scraping against windows or walls? Have a look on the road. Is there a pothole developing on the road outside that every time a car goes past, it actually makes a weird bump? One house that we went to, we actually had one of the complaints was that their stuff was going missing at night. Upon talking to the neighbours and asking around, it turned out that the lady who lived in the house above where their unit was had dementia and had a habit of wandering. And they actually had a door from their unit into that house. She must have had a key and she was going in through the night and just taking stuff. And for some reason, they're like, it's ghosts. It's like, try and find rational explanations. Another classic one. We had a young couple insisting that there was something strange going on because, among other things, they'd heard that putting a line of salt across a doorway would stop anything evil or spirits coming in. Oh my gosh, you can imagine the utter panic they had. They put a line of salt along the floor, the lino floor, in their bathroom. You can imagine the panic when they discovered that something had turned the solid salt into a liquid.
Oh my God.
Impressive.
Oh, people. And true stories. Honestly, these are true stories. So have a look at yourself. Try and work out what it might be. Always look for a possible source of EMF. And I promise you, 97% of the time, if you just stay calm, think about it, think critically about it, you will find the explanation for your paranormal activity. I promise you.
The other thing
I agree with you, Barbara, because I've come across the story on Reddit where one of the theories put forward was that there was something paranormal in the apartment because the guy would always wake up and there'll be notes left in his room in his landlord's handwriting. And it turned out to be carbon monoxide poisoning. He couldn't explain why these notes were written in the handwriting of the, obviously, who owned the building. He thought someone was breaking in and while he was sleeping and putting notes there. It was carbon monoxide poisoning. So I agree with investigating the environment, not only during the nighttime. So when you do an investigation anywhere, you need to go there during the day, but you also need to discount the environment.
Absolutely.
So yeah, stuff like that is quite easy. There's one place we investigated where I suspect that has caused a lot of issues. It's built on a prior rubbish dump, and it even has extractor fans for methane that's in the building. So you know that there's potentially methane
coming up from the rubbish dump and messing with people. So reducing your oxygen level, making you intoxicated. So then you see stuff.
Yeah.
I actually got a gas detector, and whenever I went there, I couldn't detect any methane. But, you know, that sort of thing, you sort of have to rule out.
The other thing too, I think when we're talking about residentials is if we're talking about it from the perspective that you've pulled up, Barbara, and that is if you're looking at getting a team in. If you're looking at getting a team in, do your homework on the team.
Very, very true. Good point.
You're getting these people are coming into your home. Do your homework on the team.
And you'll be telling them some pretty big
Personal,
things. Like we need to know, you know, about your health, your mental health, your medications, your habits. There's a lot that we need to know to kind of try and work out what's happening. So just remember, you know, not all paranormal teams and paranormal investigators are equal. There are some real boys out there.
And
there's ethics involved. So I agree with that. But you're also putting the person at risk of being ridiculed if that particular team or individual shares that information publicly without your permission. Because once it's out there, you can't get it back.
That's
right.
And
I have seen this happen, and the fallout from that is terrible.
I think we've all seen that actually happen, both here and overseas. But I think you need to be very mindful of who you are allowing into your home. Quantum used to all be police checked. All of our investigators were police checked, a full criminal history check done on them. Unfortunately, they've changed the rules and regulations around performance.
Now. Yeah.
And you can, because I do them at work for all our new staff. You can, but you have to be a registered company to do it now. Because I was quite open, and I said the reason why we needed this doing, and we were going into people's homes and we were dealing with vulnerable people, because make no mistake about it, someone who thinks their home is haunted, they're in a vulnerable state.
They definitely are.
And I wanted to ensure that the people that I was sending in, excuse me, were kosher. And they said, unfortunately, due to the changes around how we do them, we only do them for registered businesses. And the reason for that was just the mass amount of police checks that they were having to deal with, that they had to do something to get a control on it. And so therefore they now only do them for registered businesses.
And also the Privacy Act. Because if you're an individual looking up someone else, you technically shouldn't, unless you've got their permission.
No, it's not like that. If you're doing a police check on someone, you have to have a written signed document.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to have permission.
I'll
play the devil's advocate, because you can get around that if you haven't been caught doing your crimes.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's only going to pull up. Police check's only going to pull up if you've been charged with something. So,
and even if you were investigated or were charged with something, and they gave you diversion, so they took the charge away, it wouldn't be on your record, because it's not supposed to be accessible by anyone unless you reoffend and get caught.
Yeah, well,
you need to look carefully at the team and make sure that you're going to a reputable team.
At the end of it, that's what you've got to make sure that the people that you are interview them. You know, we interview you guys to get the information that we need. So you interview them and get information out of them that you need.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Yeah. If your gut doesn't sit right with someone on a team, go with your gut.
Treat it like a job interview. You're not only they're not only interviewing you for a job, but you're interviewing the company for the job. So if it's not, as you said, your gut saying no, or it's not a right fit for you, you don't like the person for some reason, or you have heard about particular things about that person, you don't have to have them in your house. You can refuse.
You can say, I'm quite happy. Sorry?
Same with tradies, you don't let just any old tradie into your house. You talk to them first and make sure you trust them before you let them in. So yeah,
you got to vibe with them. If you don't vibe with them, then don't be letting them in your home.
For sure.
Because it is safety. There's all sorts of ramifications from allowing strangers into your home. I'm sorry, I'm just reading Cameron's.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I think that there is a huge divide between doing residentials, doing commercials, and doing historicals. And I think the huge divide is the people aspect. The people aspect comes fully into play in a residential.
Yeah.
How many? Oh, Tony's just brought up a really good question. I like this question. How many paranormal investigators are there in New Zealand? 10, 50, 300? Now, let's define paranormal investigators.
Define Maybe we should do one on a podcast on that. What actually makes a paranormal investigator?
That would probably be.
There are a lot of ghost hunters who think they are paranormal investigators.
Yes, exactly.
Paranormal enthusiasts.
Just like there's a lot of YouTubers. Just like there's a lot of YouTubers that think they're paranormal investigators as well when they're not, they're content creators and YouTubers.
Oh, personally, I was
just like, what the hell is that?
What do you guys reckon? I would say 20 actual investigators.
Yep.
I think that's too generous.
Yeah, I'm with Tash on that. I would say there'd be 20.
Some would be marginal, but I still think 20. My opinion.
I would probably say 10. I'd probably say half of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably say half of that. I'm just ticking people off in my head here as I'm going through.
I'm thinking, I hope she's including me.
I'm just like, nah. Throw that one out. Now, I'd probably say well, as we said, define paranormal investigator for starters, but if we're talking about bona fide paranormal investigator, I would say probably 10 if you're lucky.
We should do a poll online somewhere and see who votes. How many do they think?
But then, like I said, people wouldn't know. A lot of people don't know the difference, Like there are a lot of just urbex people who consider themselves to be there was talk many, many, many years ago about basically not quite licensing, but having a register of paranormal investigators. At the time, it went down like a cup of cold sick, just because there were so many, like, how on earth do you do it? There you go. Yeah. What's it? SB7?
Spirit box. So you can have an SB7 and an SB11. Spirit box.
I'm with you. Spirit box. That's why I had no clue what an SB7 was. You're right, Cameron. Yep, that makes you must be an investigator.
I think that you can do a register type of thing. I just think it needs to be an organisation that is in charge of the register, not a team.
Yep.
And there is one already out there.
Not in New Zealand.
Not here, not in this country, but there is one out there, and they do ASAP do it, and they have a register for accredited investigators.
How do you become accredited, though?
You go through their online course thing, and they.
But I mean, if we don't know what a ghost is, you pay some money and you pass a course. But how do you vet check these people?
Well, I'll tell you, if you give me a chance to breathe, I'll let you know. What they do is they actually get you to go out on cases with them, I believe, as well. And they watch and they take in what you're doing and determine whether or not they want you part of their accreditation register. And if they do, great. And if they don't, I guess they don't. But then
you have to reset it.
That's kind of weird because, what they think is a, suitable criteria may not be suitable criteria.
But that's going to be the same for anybody that's going to do a register. What they think is a suitable criteria may not be determined by the person who's actually sitting the assessment to see whether or not they're good enough. It's no different than sitting an assessment for an exam to see whether or not you have the knowledge to be able to call yourself a flight attendant, for instance.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing. But I think because the quality of the learning out there that's offered is from one end of the spectrum to the other, 9 times out of 10 crap, then you're never going to get, unless you're working with people directly, you're never going to get people being ticked off as being good enough to be accredited on their list, if you know what I mean. It's an individual thing. It's whoever's got the list makes the rules.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly what the problem would be.
Yep.
That would be the problem.
It would be like not
whoever has the most money.
Know. Yeah, it won't be
whoever
what
has
you
the most money. They can get on the list.
Or who your friends are, or who your friends are.
Yeah, absolutely. Who you want in your back pocket, you put on your list.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's basically at the end of the day, the credibility lies with the people who you got to look at the credibility of the people who are supposedly wanting to hold a register.
Exactly.
Are they credible themselves, or are they?
I was going to say who are not normally the type of people who you would want holding the, that type of person who wants to do that sort of thing would be in it for the power.
Yep.
And that's exactly the type of person you wouldn't want doing it.
Yep.
So, yeah, like I said, this is partly why it went down like a cup of cold sick when it was first floated many, many years ago.
Was that because of the individual that floated the idea?
I think there were a couple, 3 individuals that would be enough, Colette, for you anytime.
Yep, no problem.
There were.
Grease my palm with silver, Colette.
There were 3, and they were very much all ready to go with it. They were going to rule the paranormal field.
I just know who these people are.
You do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that would have very much been the old boys network.
Yeah, so being around for a long time does not make you credible.
No, it doesn't. No,
it's not a badge that people should go off.
Well, it's quite funny because at the time, there was
the best way to determine would be testimonials, but then again, they can write whatever they want. Or
they can be faked easy enough as well, can't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. At the time this happened, there was actually a lady, she'd done a lot of investigating when TAPS had come over. She'd investigated with them. It was her that TAPS went to go and investigate with her, and she was furious about it because she knew perfectly well that she would be excluded from that particular club. And I don't know. I mean, some people might remember the name Dorothy O'Donnell.
Yep.
She was absolutely amazing. She was so experienced. She was really old even back then. And sorry, Dorothy. But yeah, an amazing lady. And she was basically like the mother of the paranormal field in New Zealand. And then these young, I won't say young.
Whippersnappers.
Sorry.
These whippersnappers came along, and
young guns, these young ones, came in, and they were going to have this guild. It was going to be a guild.
That's right. I remember hearing about this guild.
Yeah,
like knights for the round table.
That is the problem. We got onto this because
I don't know.
we were talking about paranormal investigators and what makes a paranormal investigator.
We
and
were.
Unfortunately, it's just pretty.
What makes a paranormal investigator? Well, it certainly doesn't mean the length of time you've been doing this, because you can still be a shit investigator and have been investigating shittily for the last 30 years. It also certainly doesn't mean the most active investigator is the best investigator. Again, having 1,000 investigations under your belt does not make you a fantastic investigator. It actually probably makes you a shit one, because you're taking everything you have. You're not being discerning about the cases that you're taking. So that would, I'd have to red flag. I'd wave my red flag. But yeah, so those two things don't make you an investigator. Having a 3 million subscriber count on YouTube does not make you a paranormal investigator. Having a TV show certainly does not make you a paranormal investigator. Well, so it said everything that doesn't make someone a paranormal investigator. Let's talk about what does make someone a paranormal investigator.
Can I just point out one thing right now? It's fine. It's fine for you not to be a paranormal investigator. It's absolutely fine for you to be a ghost hunter. Just don't tell people you're a paranormal investigator. Don't go into venues and tell them that you're a paranormal investigation team. Tell the truth. You're a ghost hunter. There's no. You can be a ghost hunter. That's fine. But there is a definite difference.
Yep, there's a very big divide between someone who investigates the paranormal and someone who hunts for ghosts. I mean, that is the reality of those titles. That is what those people do. One investigates paranormal phenomena. The other one hunts for ghosts. Do I need to say any more?
Cameron has a question, and I just replied that even if you did, that does not make you a paranormal investigator, because, again, how do you know you're not just making money off people and saying, oh, this doll is haunted, this chair is haunted, this table is haunted?
Yeah, totally. Totally.
And aspects of making money and generating an income from that, which you see a lot in America. Some of the times it's, they do that to make the historical buildings, whatever, to keep the upkeep on them, but not necessarily haunted. And the people who are doing this is not necessarily investigators. They're historical people that want to preserve the buildings. So.
Yep, absolutely. And they're doing this a lot now in England as well. I think there's a couple of haunted museums in England.
That's why you don't want people in your house. That's just secret.
They were, weren't they, Colliers?
I wish they were.
She was there.
I wish they were, Colette, honestly.
That's why Tracy doesn't want you in a house alone. They will get you.
Oh dear.
Yeah, what? I don't even know. I can't even remember that, Colette. I don't even know I don't know what happened. Was that one week when I was really tired and I lost it and said a few crazy things? Probably. I can't remember. My knickers are not haunted. Thank you. I don't wear any anyway.
Hot topic.
I don't wear any anyway. I think we've pretty much done it. The subject, the topic. I think we've turned it inside out, shook it about, and stood it on its head. So I think that maybe for the now, we will call it a night.
I just want to say, join us next week, because Ian Quigley is our special guest. He's my teammate at Paranormal Researchers, and he's a video producer, and he's going to give us he's going to discuss videos and making videos, filming paranormal videos, and give you a few hints and tips. I'm pretty sure he's going to be showing a few videos as well on how to do things, and he's quite excited about it. He's already working on it, so
it's going to be awesome. I mean, this is going to be good for you guys. So you can ask him. It's not going to be a live; it's going to be a pre-recorded video. But if you have any questions for him, you can put it in the comment section, in the YouTube comment section, for him afterwards. So hopefully we're going to even get him to talk about you using your phone to take videos out on investigations and things like that. And yeah, he's just going to help you guys with your visual filming. So it should be
fantastic. Is he also going to put up some examples of when people see orbs or angels, lens flare, dust?
I think I did way back ask him to do that, but might be worth another mention actually, Barb. If you could mention that to him in passing, if he could put up like a, and this is a piece of dust and this is like lens flare or light glare or whatever the feck it is.
I can send him a good video because we've got heaps of pollen and we've got cameras everywhere, and especially on the house, it looks like it's snowing. With orbs.
Yeah.
It's just pollen. My car is yellow.
Unbelievable for being captured on video and on cameras. So what is Cameron saying? So I can be a better investigator with my SB7, right? No, not right.
Well, if you use the Estes method with somebody else, maybe look up the Estes method.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily make you not a better investigator. It's how you use your equipment, and having lots and lots of equipment definitely doesn't make you a good investigator.
No.
But yeah, I mean, if you're open-minded and you're not just focusing on that one piece of equipment, and you're thinking about different ways of using it and trying different techniques, yeah, you're getting there.
All righty. So next week we got Ian. What we got the week after that? We got some really interesting stuff happening, guys, coming up.
I haven't got my...
Oh, we got Poltergeist.
Oh, Tony, you were asking about Poltergeist. So, yeah, there's a whole podcast on it coming up.
Yeah, Tones, not next week, the week after. Poltergeists, bud. You can have all your burning questions answered then.
Just for Cameron, the Connect camera has been discredited.
Oh, that
it's basically an SLS camera.
Connect camera, yuck. We played with that about
long time ago when they first probably came out.
And
it was Xbox 2-ish.
No. I shall move things around for the Poltergeist one. Well, at least you know it's you moving it, Colette, not someone else, eh? Not a Poltergeist, right? All right. So, okay. Call it a night, guys. And thank you for joining us.
Have an awesome weekend. Stay dry, okay, and warm.
And we'll see you next Friday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.